Hey guys, back again, and it's now the 18th of June, and I had a look earlier, and the last time we put a video out was Boxing Day, which is just disgusting, but life's just been busy. Work's been absolutely nuts, and I just haven't had a second of time spare. Nothing's been done on the caravans at all. Since probably November, because we've just been too busy. So I'm starting to do a little bit of work. Like I was on the panorama again today, but it's gonna be a while before we've got any useful footage to give you. So I needed something up my sleeve for times like this, and so we're gonna do a montage with a voiceover of a caravan we did a couple of years ago now, which is my sister and her husband's caravan, which is a 77 lightweight 1700, which is a really cool van. Been trying to do this one for a while, trying to figure out how to do the voiceover in that, so just bear with us. It's not that great, but we've done our best. The start of the video does drag a little bit, but we do get into doing an interior resto on it, so keep watching it. It gets better. All right, this is the caravan when I picked it up for Sarah and Drew, and towed it over to their house for them just to see what it would tow like, and the thing tows absolutely mint. It probably tows better than all of the caravans we've got in our family, to be honest. As you can see, it's brown center color, or a goldy brown center color. The original color on this one was purple, which I quite like, but it's very, very 70s. And this particular van is a 1977 model, so it was the last of this lightweight range before they changed over to the panorama. So although it looks a bit scruffy on the outside, the caravan's really, really original, and it's quite rare because it's got the rear bedroom with the permanent double bed in it. So yeah, when we first got it home, or to Sarah and Drew's, we had a look over it, and it was decided initially just to get it to the point where we could get it towable, get a warrant of fitness on it, and they could take it away on their first holiday. So, and then maybe further down the track we'd look at doing a resto on it. So initially we just had a look over it, and then we took it out to the workshop and put it up on the hoist. All right, now we're moving to some shots of the interior. When Sarah and Drew first asked me to come and have a look at this caravan, like I said before, it looked pretty scruffy, but it was original, and that's so important when you're buying these old vans, if you want to take them back to, an original restoration. So as you can see from this shot, the interior on it is absolutely mint, like the cabinetry's mint, and that's what you want. It's still got the folding door that used to close up to the rear bedroom, and also you can put a curtain over it as well. The wardrobe door, for some reason, which I can't quite recall now, wasn't attached, or it was taken off. And it also had a couple of spare cupboards that were obviously optional extras at the time when they bought it. So yeah, like I say, very original inside. As my sister Sarah said, it smelt like dead people, which they normally do after, this thing was probably, I don't know, over 40 years old when they bought it. So, but it's just important to have that original starting point to go from. So this is where we've brought it out to work, put it up on the hoist, and just ready to have a look underneath it and see what it's like. It was pretty good underneath this one. Just the usual surface rust that these get. and all of them, they're always the same. None of it on this Caravan was structural in any way. All it really needed was to have a wire brush and give it a repaint. One thing about these Caravans is underneath they're built in such a way that there's no closed off areas. All of hard to explain, but all of the chassis is open. So the north-south rails have an opening on each end, so moisture can't get trapped in there. And the ones that go east-west are exactly the same. So there's a shot of old Papa Bear involved, as he normally is when we're doing these things. We also took all of the water tanks out of this one, which we've never actually put back in, come to think of, something we probably need to do. This one had different brakes from even my Caravan and Mum and Dad's van. It's the brakes are the same as the later model, the Panorama. In this instance, we ended up disconnecting them all because there was something to probably look at later and didn't need them in the interim. You can also see the shocks a bit huckery as well. So from memory, I think we took that off and tidied it up a little bit. You don't actually need those shocks. It's got Duratorque suspension as well. So, but we elected to keep it on. You can see underneath there, again, just a normal surface rust, which we took to with a grinder. Whereas we get to the next picture, it's actually a wire brush wheel, but we did use an angle grinder with a bigger wire brush wheel attached to that, which is really effective for removing this stuff. And here's a photo of Drew, and that's what you look like after a day on the grinder, having to go at these chassis. So that's after we put some paint on it. And I normally do them in silver, but this one we can't remember why we did it in black. But anyway, we put not an etch primer, a CRC galvanized primer down, and then CRC galvanized top coat, which is really effective. These are the new legs that we put 4 of them on. They're quite expensive, like even back then they were like $120 each, but it's well worth it. They're galvanized. It's a pain in the ass of a job because you got to cut the old ones on and then off, and then try and weld these ones on. And being galvanized, of course, the welder spits and carries on. But once you got them on there, they'll last for years. I put them on my van 10 years ago, and they still look brand new. Alright, back to the inside of the Caravan. This is actually years later. Sarah and Drew asked me to come over, and the plan was that they wanted to start stripping out the interior of the Caravan to put some new carpet in it. So we started stripping it out, starting with the front seats and table, which I always find the best way to go with it. You can see the splendid old 70s lino there. But yeah, anyway, so we started stripping the interior out of it, and it got to the point where I said to Sarah and Drew, I said, look, we're actually at the point where, you want to probably think about whether you want to restore the whole interior and reline it, because taking the furniture out and putting it back in is almost sort of half of the job. So they had to think about it, and they went, nah, let's go for it. So decision was made to do a total strip out. Then we would strip all the lining off and start a full interior restoration. As you can see with these ones, with the separator into the rear bedroom, they're a bit complex to do, but managed to nail it in the end. And here we are with all of the furniture gone. And once you take that out, it shows you just how bad you know, the interior linings really are. So, and you can also see the splendid wheel coverings on the, or the stick-on stuff on the wheel covers. That was obviously done back in the day. And now we're at the point, you can see there with the wheel arch removed, and it's time to start stripping out the interior panels. There's all the furniture's out. There's don't know what he's doing there, maybe taking curtain rails off or the remnants of the front shelf by the looks of it. One thing that's really important to do, which I forgot to say, is if you're ever relining a Caravan, get a pencil or a Sharpie or something like that and draw a line around everything onto the interior panels, like for your cupboards and that, before you remove them. It just means once you've relined it and you go to reinstall everything, you can refer to the old panels and it'll show you exactly where they were. So you go around everything in the Caravan, every piece of furniture, and you draw a line around it. You can see here front curve panels, which are the biggest pain in the ass to reinstall afterwards, taken off. So you have to take off the roof lining before the wall linings, and when you put it back together, it's the other way around. You've got to put the wall linings on first, because you can see the roof lining covers them. The other thing you have to do here, which is another pain of a job, but it's got to be done. You've got to take the roof vents out, assemblies out, also the as well. You can see also in that shot the polystyrene insulation, which is right throughout the Caravan. And once you take these things apart, there's always surface rust on the internal framing, and that's just from years of condensation. So you've got to go around with some sandpaper, or not sandpaper, wire brush wheel, grind all those back, which is another shitty job, and then put rust converter over them, and then you've got to paint them again with a zinc paint to make sure they're nice and cured before you put the new panels back on again. What am I saying nice and cured? I mean protected, so they don't rust again. The other thing that has to come out is all of the windows except the front and rear screen. So as you can see here, we're sort of getting to the end of the day with this one, and then you have to put plastic all over the windows and everything until the next day when you start working on it again. Here we are with most of the linings gone, and we also take out all of the insulation just so we can see what's in behind and what needs to be tidied up and rust proofed, etc. You can see there stuff that's a bit rusty that needs to be tidied up, all of the old. Now the next thing you've got to do once you've got it all stripped down is you've got to replace the wiring. Firstly, because you'd be mad not to. All the wiring that's in there is 40 plus years old, but also no Sparky would ever put it all back together again and certify it. So you can see here we've got this purple wiring in there. Now you need to use that because it's compatible with the polystyrene insulation. I have made the mistake before of using the white stuff and then having to strip it all back out and start again. Because we haven't got the exterior panels taken off, we can't follow the original wiring path, so you've got to create your own. And to do this, you've got to drill a hole in the frame and then put a plastic sleeve in it to protect the wiring which goes through it, and then run the wiring through, and you've got to do that all the way through the whole Caravan. So you've got to drill it, then you've got to get a die grinder to make that hole a little bit bigger. Put your plastic sleeving in, which we just used tubing for, plastic tubing. And then you've got to create your wiring path through the whole Caravan and drill it all out. Okay, so as you can see here, you've got to mark everything out, and you've really got to plan what you want in a caravan. You know, do you want a TV somewhere? Do you want some power outlets for your phone, that sort of thing? You got to plan in advance. Mark it all out, and then you need to run your 12 volt as well, because these ones have 12 volt lights in case the battery, power goes out or you're not on a powered site. They've got to be separated away from your normal 240 volt wiring, which you can see there, the black wiring and the pink wiring separated. Probably not as much as what it should be, but we've got it pretty close. So, and you can see here we've got all multiple wires running through, and you can also see that plastic sleeving that I was talking about. Real tedious job. Poor old Drew was starting to get very despondent at this point, but as I explained to him, you've just got to go through this part of it, which is real tedious, before you can get back to the real satisfying part, which is putting the new interior panels back on again. Alright, okay, you can see here, we're sort of towards the end of it, so we've got multiple lots of wiring running through, which will be to where the fuse box is. In this one we ran all the 12 volt up to the fuse box as well, which I've done in other caravans, but thinking about it, I probably shouldn't have done it that way. It was a bit complicated. What I should have done, and what I'll do again in the future, is run the wiring probably to a separate point, maybe under the seat, where you can have a battery box. But back in the day, they all went into the fuse box, and that's why we did this as well. And when we did that, we had to put separate compartments in the cupboard where the fuse box is to separate the 12 volt from the 230 volt wiring. Okay, so you can see there's a green and yellow wire. That's the earth wire for the Caravan. Back in the day, they just ran it to the body of the Caravan, but with this Caravan and previous ones I've run it down through the wall and bolted it actually straight to the chassis so that you get a really good earth on it, which is super important, so nobody gets hurt. Alright, you can see here we've got writing all over the walls. Again, it's really important to plan where you want everything, mark it out, so when it comes time to do it, it's nice and clear. You can see there where we wanted to put a plug in the wall. Again, this is the opportune time to put as many plugs as you can throughout the Caravan. Think about what you want, what you need, where you'd like a plug, because it's really easy to do it at this point, and obviously very difficult to do it later once the panels are back on. Alright, you can see in this one we've got wires hanging down from the roof. Basically that's just where you're running your wiring from one side of the Caravan to the other. So you can run your wiring across to where the fuse box is. So you join all your wiring on the left hand side of the Caravan. Join it up so you're not running too many wires. You run them over through the roof, and then to drop them into where the fuse box is going to be, which is down through the top of the cupboard. So you can see here wiring is pretty much completed at this point, and really ready now to start cutting the insulation and putting it back in, and then you get to the point where you can start lining the walls again. So as this video is already really, really long, I'm going to stop it here. Yeah, then we'll catch up on the next one.